Welcome in, my fellow fitness enthusiasts, to today's instructional video. Really excited to bring this to you. I'm going to show you today one of my absolute favorite cardio machines, something I recommend for almost anybody at any fitness level. So stay tuned, a lot of information for you guys today. Let me introduce myself. My name is Tyler Merren. I am owner of Revision Fitness, Revision Training LLC, where our mission is to bring fitness to you guys in an accessible format. So if you've never seen one of my videos before, something that you'll notice is that if you have full vision, you should be able to see everything in the view here, the rowing machine I have in front of me. But if you are visually impaired, stay with me, because everything that I'm going to talk about today, everything that I'm going to do is fully audio described for you guys. I am visually impaired myself. I'm a 3-time Paralympic athlete, a motivational speaker and personal trainer, and I'm super passionate about making sure that we get fitness out there. It's something that's changed my life for the better, and I want to give you guys that same opportunity. So today, we're going to talk about the rowing machine. Now, some of you may have access to a rowing machine at a local fitness center. Some of you may own one. Some of you may have never even heard of it. So let me go through 3 stages with you today in this video. First, we're going to talk about the benefits of the rowing machine, some of the major pros that you can get from it, a few cons here and there, as any exercise will have, but more than anything, you get a massive amount of benefits. The second thing we'll talk about is the structure of the machine, and then we'll third talk about the functionality of it, how you use it, and what you need to do with it. Okay? So first, let's talk about the benefits. The rowing machine is a cardiovascular exercise. So going into the fitness center, you're going to find this machine typically alongside the ellipticals, the bicycles, the treadmills, the stair climbers. It is a cardio-based maneuver. Okay? The thing about a rowing machine that I really like, though, is it targets just about every single muscle in your body, especially the muscles in your back, your arms, your legs. The rowing machine is going to help a ton with postural muscles, so strengthening the muscles that run along your spine and through the back of your shoulders. It's a cardiovascular exercise, but is much more full body. It's also very low impact. Okay, so if you're somebody who deals with knee issues and things like that, I think the rowing machine is a great place for you to hang out. Of course, always check with your physician before starting any kind of new activity. But a lot of times when I worked with my clients, it was, let's try out the rowing machine. I know your knee is a little bit hard to work with, you've got some injuries, but it's very low impact because you're taking all of your body weight off your knees and putting it into the seat. And then you're able to move through a full range of motion. Okay, the large joints in your body, your ankle, your knees, your hips, shoulders, elbows, wrists, fingers, these are all called synovial joints, right? And in order for a synovial joint to be healthy, it has to move through a full range of motion. Well, you can do that on a rowing machine without putting a lot of extra weight and stress on your knees. So I think it's a really beneficial machine for that. One of the drawbacks that is pretty common with most cardio machines, you're working in a single plane of movement, right? It's forward and back only, okay? And most athletic maneuvers are 3-dimensional. So a little bit of a drawback there, but again, that's kind of common on cardio machines. Second thing is they do take up a little bit of space. So just in a second, we'll talk about the structure and the layout of the machine. But if this is something you want to own in your home, recognize that it's not very wide. You can typically put it in kind of a narrow space, but the length of it is pretty long. So setting up a rowing machine, behind your couch or something like that is something that's kind of common for people to do. It does take up a little bit of room, though. So let's talk about the actual layout of the machine, okay? So what we end up having is a very long, narrow machine. That's what the rowing machine is all about. It's not very tall. At its highest point where the display is, it only comes up to about my waist, right? So we're talking maybe 3 feet off the ground. So it's not very tall. It's a pretty safe machine when you're totally visually impaired, completely blind, you're navigating around the weight room. I'm not afraid of a rowing machine. There's not a lot of parts that stick out that you can hit yourself on. There's not a lot of moving bars and things like that. So very safe machine to be around. Another advantage I think that's really great about having a rowing machine. So let's start at one end and we'll work our way forward. So I'm starting at the back of the machine now. Typically, the front of the machine is gonna face a wall, or it's gonna face other cardio machines. So the wheel end, where the flywheel is, that's the front of the machine. The back of the machine, kind of where you sit and where your back goes towards, that's where I'm gonna start. So we've got a basic foot pedal at the back here, where this is just the part that the machine sits on. It's about 12 inches wide. And this is a general design. Almost every row machine is gonna look like this with some basic variation. From there, you're gonna feel what's called the beam or the track. Okay, so it's about 3 inches wide. It's just a long, flat piece of metal. And if you slide down it, you're gonna feel a seat, okay? So this seat is just very basic. It's a flat, it's got a couple of curves to kind of fit more to the contour of your glutes. But it's sitting on rollers and glides very easily from one end of the machine to the other. About halfway down the machine, all the way to the back, I should say. So one of the things I want to clarify with this, so many people, they're afraid to use the rowing machine because they're like, I'm worried I'm going to fall off the back of it. Well, first of all, this track is long enough that if you've got legs long enough that you're pushing all the way to the back of this track, you probably shouldn't be watching this video. You should be playing in the NBA. Secondly, there's a stopper. So I'm pushing this seat all the way back to the end of the track, and it's gonna stop right there. You're not gonna fall off the back of the machine, okay? There's a few rowing machine models that are shorter than others, but generally speaking, you're not gonna fall off the back of the machine. No way. We're gonna move forward down the machine now, so closer to where the seat rests, because it does tilt forward at just a slight angle. If I move the seat to the middle of the track and just let it go, it's going to just very gently glide towards towards the front of the machine. Next thing you're gonna find are the foot plates. Okay, simply put, this is where your feet go, okay? The foot plates are at about a 45-degree angle, so your toes are gonna be up higher than your heels, and they're gonna be only a few inches off the ground. Now again, some models sit up higher or lower. This is a pretty low model, so when you're seated, you're only gonna be about a foot off the ground. So one of the things to be mindful of, if you do have really bad hips and knees and sitting down in a little bit lower seat is challenging, you want to look for a model that sits up a little bit higher, or just be very mindful of having things around you to support you while you're sitting down into the machine. So these foot plates, there is a heel strap and then a foot strap. So like the heel portion is usually a hard plastic, just your heel sits down in that. And then the foot strap will go across the top of your foot, and I'll show you that positioning when we get to it. Moving up, you've got your bar, okay? This is the handle that you're gonna grip. It's a free moving handle. It sits down in the machine in this little cage. It's a little catch. So when you're not using the machine, it sits down right on the upper part of the machine here. It's attached to a chain that runs into the flywheel. So we grab the handle here, and as you pull the chain out, that's gonna spin the flywheel, and that's gonna create your resistance, okay? Further up the machine, we have your display. This is where you're gonna be able to see if you have the vision or if you have an app that's connected with it. You're gonna be able to see the number of strokes that you have, your strokes per minute, your total distance, typically measured in meters. There's a lot of other information, your watts, your overall power output. And then two more parts. We have your flywheel. Okay, this is where the resistance is created. This is towards the very front end of the machine. This particular model, the flywheel is created through air resistance, right? So there's 4 different kinds: air resistance, water resistance, magnetic resistance, and band resistance, I believe is the other one. Sorry, don't quote me on that. This is the most common one that you're gonna find though. Most fitness centers, unless you're in something super fancy schmancy, this is gonna be what you're gonna find. As you pull, it's gonna create air pressure, it's gonna pull back against you. That's how you're gonna develop strength. So there's an adjuster on this. On the side, if you feel on the outside edge, like the rim of the, or the hub of the flywheel, you can feel along the edge, there's a knob that you can kind of slide up and down. And again, this is pretty universal on all of these machines. Sliding it all the way down is number 1 Sliding it all the way up is typically 10, right? So 10 is gonna be a little bit more resistance. That closes down the flywheel a little bit, creates more air pressure. As you slide it down to 1, it opens the wheel up so air can escape easier, less air pressure, less resistance on you, okay? Now the last thing on the front of these machines, there is some wheels, some transport wheels. So if I move again towards the back of the machine here, it's really neat because if you have a home model, they're very, very, very light. You can pick up the back end, you put the wheels down, and you can slide it forward and back. You can move it very, very easily. I would have to look at the direct specs, but I bet this whole machine doesn't weigh anything more than 40 pounds. It's very, very, very light. So very versatile, very easy to work with, excellent benefits. Let's go ahead and talk about the technique now and how you actually use the rowing machine. So let's go ahead and get it set up. All right, so in getting set up on the rowing machine, I'm gonna come up from the back side of the machine. Again, typically the back side of the machine when you're at the fitness center is gonna be where the kind of walkway is, the alleyway is. But you're gonna approach from the back side of the machine and you're gonna step over the track, over the beam, and I'm gonna straddle the track essentially. I've got one foot on either side. I've got the seat right in front of me. Again, you wanna reach down and just kind of feel how easily this seat moves. So as you go to sit on the seat, be really mindful it doesn't slip out from you, okay? So I'm stepping closer towards the foot pedals. I'm gonna sit my bottom down on this track. I've got my feet on the floor and I'm adjusting myself so that I'm pretty firmly set up on this seat. Now again, you're gonna notice that the seat is pretty small. So I've got my buttocks on the seat, but most of my thighs, most of my legs are not supported by the seat whatsoever. It's just a place to put your bottom, okay? So now that I'm here, if this is the first time on the rowing machine, you can go ahead and just keep your feet on the ground. Push yourself forward and back a little bit. Feel how easily this seat glides. It's super comfortable, super easy to work with. But once you're ready, now we're gonna get our feet up into the feet plates. Foot plates. Feet plates? I guess it'd be feet plates, I don't know. The next thing you wanna take a look at though, depending on how big your feet are, you wanna make an adjustment to these heel cups. And I'm gonna explain why, but check out your feet plates, and notice that towards the top, you feel like this kind of plastic tab towards the top is kind of sticking out above the foot plates. Because that is the actual base where your feet are gonna sit. Now there's some holes in it. You're gonna feel with your thumbs as you reach down and grab one of them, you can feel there's a set of holes on each side. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, going all the way kind of down into the plate. There's several sets of holes. That's because you can pull that tab towards you, which kind of unlatches it from these little metal knobs that are on there, little metal tabs. And you can slide that up farther if you have very small feet, so you can slide it up and kind of get more of this plastic tab exposed. It draws this heel portion up, which makes this strap come lower across your foot, more towards your ankle as opposed to towards your toes, okay? So for me, I mean, I've got big feet, so I'm gonna slide these down a little bit. I have these set up, and you wanna check both sides. Now they do have numbers on them. Again, I'm totally visually impaired, so the numbers don't really mean a whole lot to me. But I have 1, 2 holes above where I have it notched, right? So that's typically how I'll measure it. Like, okay, I'm the 3rd hole down on this set. I'm gonna check the left and the right. You want them both to be equal. And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm 1 foot at a time. I'm gonna pick my foot up. I'm gonna slide my toe underneath this fabric strap. And then once I have my foot flat on the foot pedal, I'm gonna slide it down so that it kind of catches in this plastic heel catch here, okay? Now that I'm there, you're gonna reach down and find the free end of your foot strap, which is typically towards the outside, and you're just gonna give it a tug, okay? So as you pull on that, it's gonna tighten down this strap, and if you have the foot cup lined up properly, you're gonna find that this strap essentially goes right across the ball of your foot, right at the base of your toes. You don't want it down here in the middle of your foot because what you want is enough tension that as you push back and extend your legs all the way out, you've got good support, but as you pull forward, your heel is going to be able to rise up. So as I come forward, my knee bends, I'm raising my heel up off of the foot pedal, the foot plate. It's coming up with me as I hold that strap. So good support, but heel movement is essential. Make sure that strap is going across the base of your toes, okay? So you may have to go back through and adjust that a little bit. To loosen yourself up from that strap, there's a little, if you feel the strap, kind of that free end that you pulled on, follow that free end down towards where it meets the buckle, and you can just push that buckle open to loosen up that to loosen up the foot strap, and then go the opposite direction. So now I'm gonna slide my foot up to get my heel out of this catch, then I'm gonna pull my heel out and slide my toes out of the actual strap, okay? So let's get yourself strapped in, and then I'm gonna talk to you about the actual row technique, and we will be good to go. You guys are gonna be row experts. Okay, I'm gonna get both of my feet into these straps now. I've got them lined up. The straps are going right across the base of my toes. So it's a little bit closer to my toes than my ankles. I've got my heels firmly pressed into the catches. I'm sitting on the seat directly in the middle, almost towards the back, just a little bit of the seat, kind of finding that comfortable space. So I am ready to go. Now, proper rowing technique, a couple of things before we even grab the bar. Your feet are gonna be about 6 inches apart. Again, kind of depending on the model that you have, but your feet are about 6 inches apart, which means that your knees, feet, and hips are all essentially spaced evenly apart, right? One of the biggest mistakes that people make on the rowing machine is as they're rowing, they have their knees kind of pushed together. Their feet are 6 inches apart, but as they go forward or back, their knees are collapsed in towards each other. So especially as you go forward, you're dropping your knees in together. Keep your knees spaced open with your feet. You should be able to put both fists together between your knees. Keep the knees open with your feet as you slide forward and back. Number 2, posture. Posture is essential. Let's talk about this, guys. Sitting up as tall as you can in your seat. I'm pushing my chest forward, so as I'm looking forward at the display, at the flywheel in front of me, I shouldn't be looking down towards my shoes. I want to be sitting up, pushing the crown of my head towards the ceiling and pointing my chest out over the flywheel in front of me. Sitting up very, very tall. This should be your posture through the entire movement, okay? Rounding out, dropping your shoulders forward, pushing your spine out, doing like rounding out like a cat. Biggest mistake that people make on the rowing machine, and that's what's gonna cause more injury than anything else. The rowing machine is a very safe machine, but if you're gonna start losing your posture, that's when you're gonna start running into trouble. Sit up super tall, and that's gonna be your goal for the entire time. Knees evenly spaced, back up straight. Okay, so now that we got that in, let's grab the bar and let's go ahead and go through a few repetitions. Okay, we are ready. Sitting up tall, knees are evenly spaced, feet are in the straps, no problem. I'm gonna grab the bar. Loose grip, okay? Mistake number 1, rookie mistake. People grab this bar and they're like, death grip, I'm gonna crush it. Just hook your fingers around it, okay? You don't wanna loosen your fingers, you don't wanna drop the bar, but just hook your fingers around it. You don't need to death grip the bar. It's not going anywhere. It's not gonna rip out of your hands. So hook your fingers around it. I've got my arms extended out towards the machine right now. I'm reaching towards the display, but again, I'm not rounding out my back this way, reaching forward, dropping my chin down. My arms are straight out in front of me towards 12 o'clock. My head is up, my back is straight, my knees are bent, my heels off the platform, off the foot pedals, and I'm going to start my stroke by pushing back with my legs first. Legs first, okay? So now my legs are straight, my arms are straight, my head is up, I'm still in good posture. Now I'm gonna bend my elbows, squeeze the shoulder blades together, pull the bar to my belly. My palms are facing down on this grip, okay? So I'm all the way at my full pull stroke length. My belly is tight, my back is straight, head is up, elbows are pulled back, and I am sitting up super tall. Now, to go back through that stroke, I'm gonna extend my arms first. Okay, so legs and arms are straight now. Then I'm gonna bend my knees and slide forward on the seat, okay? That's a very slow, deliberate breakdown of the stroke technique. So let's go through it again. My knees are bent, arms are straight. Straighten the legs, and then pull the bar to your belly. Straighten the arms, bend the legs. Straighten the legs, pull the bar to your belly, reach out, bend the legs. So it's legs, arms, arms, legs. Legs, arms, arms, legs, okay? I'm gonna go through a few of these movements, and then I'm gonna talk you guys through a couple things to keep in mind to help this imagery. Number one, my head is up straight, okay? Sit up tall. Do not round your back. Draw your head up. Number two, I broke down that movement, right? It's legs, arms, arms, legs. But you're putting it all together. It's a sequence, right? It's not, okay, I'm gonna straighten my legs, stop. Now I'm gonna pull the bar to my belly, stop. Now I'm gonna reach out with my arms, stop. Now I'm gonna bend my legs, stop. It's all together. It's legs, arms, arms, legs, arms. One flows into the next. So rowing machine is a very smooth, gliding movement. This is the technique you want. If you're able to see the camera, see the view, I am sitting up super tall. That's something you're gonna notice. I have not leaned way forward, leaned way back. I'm just sitting up. My head is over my shoulders over my hips the whole time. Now something again that I wanna point out, look at what my knees do here. My knees are bending all the way. I'm drawing my buttocks right up to my heels. I'm sliding way forward, but there is no weight on my knees. I'm able to move my knees through a good full range of motion, but I'm not putting a ton of stress and strain on them. My knees stay open, just as wide as my feet, and that keeps me lined up. Now I'm going through a pretty steady rhythm right here. This is the basic technique that you want to work with. We'll get into some other videos about how to ramp up what you're doing. You can go faster, drive back, pull hard. We can call this some power movements where you're driving back hard and pulling through. But nice, easy, steady rowing. If you are doing this right, you're gonna feel this a tremendous amount in your legs. You're gonna feel it in your back, you're gonna feel it in your arms, you're gonna feel it in your chest, where your lungs are, you're gonna feel it breathing, driving your heart rate up. The rowing machine is by far my absolute favorite cardio exercise. I recommend it for almost anybody and everybody. This is super friendly. The display, if you are totally visually impaired, this is another thing that I really like about the rowing machine. If you can't see the display, you can still use the rowing machine. Okay, so a lot of other machines, you know, treadmills, ellipticals, bikes, it's kind of give and take. Like if it's a total touch screen and it's very, very inaccessible, you may not be able to use that machine. But a rowing machine, you get on it and you start rowing. The resistance lever is completely manual. You can set it to whatever you feel comfortable and you can get on and start going, whether or not the display is working for you or not. There are several apps that you can download. There is Erg Chatter, which is an app that you can connect to the Concept 2 rowing machine. A lot of different models out there, so it's about finding kind of what's most effective for you based on the height and the amount of space you have in your home or whatever your situation is. But again, one of my absolute favorites. It's a go-to for me. I hope this instructional video helped you. I hope that you get a chance to get on the rowing machine, try something different. I know that a lot of people are big fans of the bicycle, the elliptical, the treadmill. I love those too. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking those machines. I love them. I have other instructional videos on those. But honestly, if I had to pick one, this would be it. I think it's going to be the best thing for you. So give it a shot and make sure, like this video, give me a thumbs up, comment. I really appreciate it. If you have more questions, if there's something I didn't cover, I'm more than happy to give you the information. But from Revision Training, We always want to say this. From revision training, let's change the way we look at it, right? I want you guys to change the way you think about fitness and change the way that we've been approaching this. Let's try something new. I want you guys to be brave, get out there and give this a shot. From revision training, let's change the way we look at it. Make it a strong day.